Dear friends, English literature, Elizabethan and Jacobean drama, The Duchess of Malfi by John Webster, brief questions with answer. Brief questions 42 83. Question 42. What do the madmen do? Answer: to torture the Duchess, the madmen sing, dance, and act crazy. Question 43. Whom do the madmen include? Answer: the madmen include the mad astronomer who lost his mind when his prediction of the apocalypse proved incorrect, the mad doctor who lost his mind due to jealousy, the mad priest, and the mad lawyer. Question 44. Who is the cardinal? Answer: the Duchess and Ferdinand's elder brother, the Cardinal of Aragon, represents cold and calculated evil in contrast to his hot-tempered brother. He is a Machiavellian character using the power of his position to torture and counter the Duchess. Ultimately, he loses his ability to control events and he is killed by Bosola. Question 45. Who is Antonio? Answer: Antonio Bolonga is the steward of the Duchess's household. She falls in love with him and they secretly wed, managing to keep this hidden from her brothers and Bosola. Question 46. Who is Delio? Answer: Delio is Antonio's friend and the only one besides Cariola who is initially trusted with the secret of the Duchess's marriage to Antonio. He remains a faithful friend to the family to the end of the play. He also has a history with Julia, which he would like to continue. Question 47. Who is Cariola? Answer: Cariola is the Duchess's maid and confidant. She is the witness to the Duchess's marriage to Antonio and thus the first to know about it. She keeps the secret faithfully and in the end is killed by Bosola for doing so. Question 48. How does Cariola die? Answer: Cariola dies tragically by strangling following the murder of the Duchesses and the youngest children. Question 49. What does the name Cariola suggest? Answer: the name Cariola plays on the Italian word Cariolo, meaning trundle bed, where personal servants would have slept. Question 50. Who is Julia? Answer: Julia is the cardinal's mistress and Castruccio's wife. She is also wooed by Delio and later falls in love with Bosola. Bosola uses her as an unwitting tool to force a confession for the Duchess's death from the cardinal, after which the cardinal poisons her. Question 51. Who is Count Malatesti? Answer: Malatesti is known for presenting himself as a soldier but avoiding any battles and thus is scorned as a coward. Ferdinand recommends him to the Duchess as a suitable husband, but she scorns the idea. Question 52. Who is Marquis of Pescara? Answer: the Marquis of Pescara is a soldier and the only courtier, save Antonio and Delio, who acts with any real honor. When Bosola attacks the cardinal, he is the only lord to answer the cries for help, even at the risk of being mocked for it. Question 43. Question 53. Who is Castruccio? Answer: Castruccio is a courtier under Ferdinand and Julia's older husband. He represents the cuckold fool. Answer: What does the name Castruccio suggest? His name plays on the word castrated, suggesting impotence. Question 55. Who is Silvio? Answer: Silvio is a courtier under Ferdinand. Question 56. Who is Roderigo? Answer: Roderigo is a courtier under Ferdinand. Question 57. Who is Grisolan? Answer: Grisolan is a courtier under Ferdinand. Question 58. Who is Old Lady? Answer: the old lady, a midwife, is ridiculed by Bosola at length for wearing makeup to try to cover what he perceives as her hideousness. Question 59. Who is doctor? Answer. The doctor diagnoses and tries to treat Ferdinand's lycanthropia. His primary method of treatment is to make Ferdinand frightened of him. Question 60. Who are the two pilgrims? Answer. As the cardinal enacts the ceremony that results in the Duchess's exile from Ancona, the two pilgrims watch the ceremony and provide a commentary. Question 61. Who is mad astrologer? Answer. He is one of the madmen. He lost his mind when his prediction of the apocalypse proved incorrect. He was sent to the Duchess during her imprisonment. Question 62. Who is mad priest? Answer. The mad priest is sent to the Duchess during her imprisonment to try to drive her crazy. Question 63. Who is mad lawyer? Answer. The mad lawyer is sent to the Duchess during her imprisonment to try to drive her crazy. Question 64. Who asked Antonio about the French court? Answer. His friend Delio asked Antonio about the French court. Question 65. Whom did the French king remove from his palace? Answer. The French king removed all the flatterers and immoral and notorious persons from his palace. Question 66. Why did the French king remove all the flatterers and immoral and notorious persons from his palace? Answer. The French king removed all the flatterers and immoral and notorious persons from his palace in order to make his country a land of peace and morality. Question 67. To which did Antonio compare a court's king? Answer. Antonio compares a king's court to a fountain. Question 68. Why did Antonio compare a king's court to a fountain? Answer. Pure and clear water flows from a fountain. But if there is some poison in the fountain, its water gets contaminated at its very source, and then disease spread throughout the land. Similarly, the king's court is a place of peace, honesty, and morality. But if there are flatterers and immoral persons, the whole nation will be corrupted. So Antonio compares the king's court to a fountain. Question 69. What does Bosola complain to the cardinal? Answer. Bosola complains to the cardinal that he, that is Bosola, has not been fairly rewarded for a service he performed for the cardinal and which cost him a prison sentence in the galleys. Question 70. Why did Bosola become a prisoner? Answer. Because of the service he has done for the cardinal, he became a prisoner on the galleys for 2 years. Question 71. What did Bosola do for the cardinal? Answer. Bosola committed a notorious murder, and the rumor was that the cardinal did indeed commission him to do so. Question 72. What did Bosola do as a galley slave? Answer. As a galley slave, he wore 2 towels instead of a shirt, with a knot on the shoulder, in the manner of a cloak which ancient Romans used to wear. Question 73. How does Bosola describe Ferdinand and the cardinal? Answer. Bosola describes how both the cardinal and his brother, the Duke Ferdinand, are corrupt and unjust. Question 74. Why does Bosola describe Ferdinand and the cardinal as corrupt and unjust? Answer. Bosola describes the cardinal and his brother, the Duke Ferdinand, are corrupt and unjust for having treated them improperly. Question 75. To what does Bosola compare the cardinal and Ferdinand? Answer. Bosola compares the 2 brothers to plum trees that grow bending over some pools. Question 76. Why does Bosola compare the cardinal and Ferdinand to plum trees? Answer. The plum trees may be overladen with fruit, but the fruit is eaten only by crows, pies, and worms of all kinds. In the same way, these two brothers have power and patronage, but only worthless flatterers can gain something from them. Question 77. Who can get advantages from the Cardinal and Ferdinand? Answer. According to Bosola, if one can become a servile pimp, he can get advantage from the Cardinal and Ferdinand and make himself rich by sucking from them like a leech that drinks blood from the horses. Question 78. What, according to Bosola, will happen to those who depend on the Cardinal and Ferdinand? Answer. According to Bosola, if a person depends on them, his fate will be the same as that of Tantalus, who was punished for betraying the secrets of the gods by being immersed in water up to his chin. The richest fruits hung before him, but when he stretched his mouth for eating them, they receded. Likewise, when he tried to quench his thirst, the water receded from his lips. Question 79. Who was Tantalus? Answer. In Greek mythology, Tantalus was the king of Lydia, who was punished for betraying the secrets of the gods by being immersed in water up to his chin. Question 80. How was Tantalus punished? Answer. Tantalus was punished for betraying the secrets of the gods by being immersed in water up to his chin. The richest fruits hung before him, but when he stretched his mouth for eating them, they receded. Likewise, when he tried to quench his thirst, the water receded from his lips. So he remained forever hungry and thirsty. Question 81. How is the fate of Bosola similar to that of Tantalus? Answer. Tantalus is a man entertaining a hope that remains unfulfilled forever. Similarly, Bosola's desire for getting reward from the cardinal remains unfulfilled. So Bosola's fate is similar to that of Tantalus. Question 82. What, according to Bosola, is the fate of a soldier in his old age? Answer. According to Bosola, the fate of a soldier in his old age is very miserable. Question 83. Why does Bosola think that the fate of a soldier in his old age is very miserable? Answer. Bosola thinks that the fate of a soldier in his old age miserable because, according to him, the soldier who sacrifices his very life for the cause of his country does not get any reward for all his services and the risks he runs. Thank you, friends, for watching my video.